Against all odds, there were still a couple of people that had worked for Donald Trump that weren't yet in federal prison, but we're getting closer to one today with Steve Bannon being arrested. New York federal prosecutors on Thursday charged President Donald Trump's former campaign advisor, Steve Bannon, and three others with defrauding donors of hundreds of thousands of dollars as part of a fundraising campaign purportedly aimed at supporting Trump's border wall. Bannon, Colfage, Andrew Badalato, and Timothy Shea are charged with one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and one count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. And this is obviously sort of inconvenient for the right, although Trump doesn't like Steve Bannon, so that makes it a little bit easier on them. But that said, it was being discussed on Fox News earlier. Here's a little bit of Andrew Napolitano talking about why it's potentially so serious for Steve Bannon and his accomplices.
Entity We Build the Wall promised its donors that not a penny, quote, not a penny would go into their pockets. So rather than putting the money directly into their pockets, they funneled it to third-party charities, and those charities paid the money, according to the indictment, to Steve Bannon and to the others. In Bannon's case, obviously the person that is most of interest to our viewers because of his former relationship to the president. In Bannon's case, the government alleges and the indictment charges him with receipt of over $1 million. And then the use of the third-party charities to actually pay them so as to hide the payments from the donors and presumably from the government is an effort to cover your trail because they knew they had misled the donors. It doesn't look good for him right now.
So that's a good point. The fact that they funneled it through these groups makes it pretty clear that they knew what they were doing and taking all these hundreds of thousands of dollars and then stealing it. They didn't do it directly. They tried to hide it. They just apparently were incompetent in that effort.
Yeah, this goes to show you, this is proof positive, John, that even Steve Bannon realized that the whole wall thing was a con, okay? So here's Steve Bannon saying, you know what? Let me get in on this con, because obviously the president is not going to actually build a wall. He doesn't have the approval, but he's going to keep saying he will. So Bannon jumped in on this, knowing the money would never go to that because it's not happening, right? And he admitted in his action that the entire wall thing is an actual con. So he's going to the pokey. Good for him.
Exactly. Yeah, there were so few left on the outside. So few wild former Trump staffers.
Yeah, I thought he would have been the first, by the way. So I'm surprised it took this long.
Yeah, you really would have thought so. I want to jump to one or two more little details about that. So Skip, I'm going to jump to this tweet. Evan Hill got a little bit of information from the Bannon indictment. Someone apparently used border wall money to buy themselves a nice little pleasure craft named Warfighter that they're about to lose. And we in fact have a picture of the boat that some of this wall money was spent on. So there's Warfighter. And what's most amazing is that boat was one of the boats in the Trump boat parade on the 4th of July that Trump still talks about to this day, about how great it was to see all those pro-Trump boats. One of those was intended to buy a few bricks for his wall, but it instead went to a tiny little yacht.
I wonder how Trump feels about this, right? So here's the test for any conservative that still believes in Trump, okay? If Trump was authentic and sincere about building a wall for you, because that was important, I guess. If he was sincere in that belief and in that effort, then he should be holding a press conference right now about how appalled he is that his friend or ex-friend, Steve Bannon, defrauded the American people, right? Yep. Because that money was supposed to go for the wall that I said I would build. And then he can use it as an excuse, John, and say, and you know what? Because of this, I'm unable to build a wall. All the money was tied up with Steve Bannon. All the money was with Steve, yeah.
That's a good idea. He has not done that. So initially, the White House Director of Strategic Communications declined to comment. That was early this morning. But Trump has commented actually. So he said, I feel very badly. I haven't been dealing with him for a long period of time. I know nothing about the project. And you'll be shocked to find out that that's not true. The thing Trump said this morning isn't true.
Remember the code, John. If he says it is,
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
But we brought some receipts to prove the code is true. Chris Kobach back on January 25th of 2019 said, the president said the project has my blessing, and you can tell the media that. So according to Chris Kobach, Trump not only knew about the project, but thought it was awesome. And they had to put out a statement. Trump org spokeswoman Amanda Miller had to put out a statement because Donald Trump Jr. went to a spot to give a speech for that group about how they were gonna help build the wall. So he doesn't know anything about it. His son's just going and speaking to them, and he's talked about how awesome it is. And let's just summarize. A former campaign manager ripped off the president's supporters, claiming to fulfill a campaign promise that Trump couldn't do himself. That should probably hurt Trump a little bit.
Yeah, it should. And the fact that Trump basically endorsed the program as well as his son. Now I'm wondering, John, did the son get paid to make that speech from those same funds? Was there some type of contribution given to either the Trump campaign or one of the Trump political action committees for the involvement of his son or for the endorsement of Trump? I see this not being the end. I see this as the beginning, because when you're talking about this kind of money and this kind of scheme that's endorsed by this level of person, by the president and the president's son, I think you're going to see more people named in the future, and I think you're going to see a larger conspiracy.
Perhaps, I mean, I have no doubt that Don Jr. got paid. I mean, that's what he's in all of this for. Whether that opens him up to any liability, I don't know. It could be that he had no idea about what was happening, but maybe we'll see. The thing is, this could hurt Trump maybe, but probably not, because his fans, believe in lizard people and
right. Well, it won't hurt the 30%. This guy's going to always have 33% of his base. But you do see Republicans, conservatives, more of the mainstream cloth guys, they're stepping away from him.
Yeah, that's true. But someone who it could potentially hurt, Philip Bump had a great tweet saying Trump's first 2016 campaign manager was arrested for battery after grabbing a reporter in 2016. His second campaign manager went to prison on a variety of federal charges stemming from the Mueller probe. His third campaign manager was just indicted on federal fraud charges. Brad Parscale, you better run or hide. I don't know, whichever you think will work better for you.
It is not looking good at all. In my neighborhood, John, we played a lot of basketball, right? And we had a term called self-check. And that's when the person who has the basketball is so bad at what they do, they're bad at playing, that you don't have to check them, you don't have to guard them. Trump is in ultimate self-check mode right now. Biden doesn't really need to say much. Senator Harris doesn't need to say much. Trump just needs to keep talking and tweeting. Yeah. He's in self-check mode, and he has defeated his own presidency.
That's pretty good, I like that. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.